This presentation is about dialogue journal writing in the classroom. Samples of dialogue journals will be shown at the end of the presentation. What are dialogue journals? I am very passionate about dialogue journals because I believe they should be in every classroom. When I taught elementary and middle school, I assigned dialogue journals in my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes. Yes, with over 130 students. I will discuss why they are great and how they can be implemented in your own classroom. First of all, dialogue journals are interactive. Students write about a topic or anything they want to, and the teacher responds to their writing. They encourage students to write freely without worrying about getting red marks or graded on their grammar or spelling. Students' writing is never corrected. The teacher always responds to their writing, modeling the correct grammar or spelling if needed. It should be fun and interesting, can be given points or credit just for writing. Students can draw pictures, but writing is always encouraged. Students can write in any language, but English is encouraged and should be required depending on English language proficiency level. Dialogue journals benefit children because students receive an individual reply from their teacher. Although I knew about dialogue journals and the benefits, I personally would never have used dialogue journals in my classroom if it were not for one student named Hejun. Hejun was a 3rd grade student who came from Korea and was in the U.S. for only 6 months. She was an English learner and had some English language writing skills. While I was in graduate school, I tutored her twice a week, and the teacher she had used dialogue journals in the classroom. Each week, Hejun would show me what the teacher had written, and I would read the 3 to 4 sentences to Hejun. The teacher wrote something like, "I like having you in my classroom. I hope you like the school and you are learning English very well. You are a wonderful student." This little girl would read those sentences over and over again, and she always had the biggest smile on her face. I saw how much joy and appreciation Hejun had from just those few sentences that I realized a written response meant so much to her. I realized Hejun loved the journals because she felt like the teacher was writing a special message to her. Because I saw what a difference an individual reply made for Hejun, she loved writing in the journal. I decided to implement dialogue journals in my own classroom. Students experiment with writing in English or the second language in a meaningful context. This is crucial and especially wonderful for English language learners for many reasons. First of all, every student can participate in this assignment, regardless of English proficiency level. I had one student named Elena. She was in the 7th grade and she just came from Ukraine a few days ago. I still remember it was a month of October and her 3rd day in the United States. She looked terrified and didn't say a word. I had her write in the journal. Her cousin was there to translate and told her she could write anything in her own language. She wrote about 5 to 6 pages in Russian. I had no idea what she wrote, probably something like, "What am I doing here? This place is crazy." Anyway, I wrote back to her. I wrote, "Elena, your writing is beautiful. I wish I could read your writing. I hope you like Los Angeles." The next week, Elena wrote another 5 pages in Russian. And the following week, she surprised me and wrote, "Friday, I go Disneyland. Had good time." I was so excited and happy to read this, and I wrote back, "I love Disneyland. Did you have a good time? What was your favorite ride?" Since then, she wrote a little more in English each entry, and this is how we started with her English literacy. I wish I'd kept her journal because it was an authentic writing sample from October until June, and her progress was amazing. Each week, she wrote more and more, and she knew I would reply with the correct spelling and grammar. This was also her time to express anything she wanted to and not worry about her English skills. Next, and my favorite reason for doing dialogue journals, is because you build communication skills with your students. You get to know them and you build a relationship with them. This is particularly true for middle and high schools because they do not have just one teacher, so they rarely have an opportunity to connect with any of their teachers. One of many examples I have is a former 7th grade student named Saul. Saul was one of those kids that are on the borderline in school. He physically was a big kid and a tough-looking kid. He got into trouble quite a bit and could cause problems in the classroom occasionally. He was basically a good kid, but also hanging out with the wrong crowd and trying to be the cool and tough kid. However, in my classroom, he was an angel and just amazing, all because of the dialogue journals. One day in his journal, he wrote about his favorite singer. I remember he wrote on and on about how great Kurt Cobain was from Nirvana. He basically thought Kurt Cobain was awesome. So I wrote back to Saul, "Dear Saul, Kurt Cobain was pretty good, and I know a few songs from Nirvana, but you know, I really like Madonna. She is my favorite." So I went on and on about Madonna, and then for the next few weeks we had a Kurt Cobain and Madonna exchange in the journals. Then one day he came to my class during recess and he put a Nirvana CD on my desk, the Smells Like Teen Spirit one. And he said he wants me to listen to it. So, like a good responsible teacher, I took it home and listened to the whole CD. And you know what? I actually liked it. The next day I gave it back to Saul, and then I told him I did like it, but now it was my turn. And I gave him my Madonna CD. I told him to listen to it. Anyway, since then, we just built this wonderful relationship, and he was never any trouble in my class, although a few other teachers could not say the same thing. One day in the middle of my teaching, he turned around to two boys sitting next to him that were talking and said, "Quiet down, Miss Shin is talking." The whole class was shocked, especially me. And since then, I called him the enforcer. Anyway, on the last journal entry in June, he amazed me by what he wrote. To Miss Shin, I hope that your summer is a very good and happy summer. I'll remember you because of all the ways you helped me and all the pleasant ways you treated me. I have to say, you're a very amused person. And if I don't get to see you again anytime, you'll be in my heart. Remember, you took part of my life. I'll miss you throughout the summer. And remember Kurt Cobain. Remember Nirvana. Your student and friend, Saul Daniel Munoz Castillo. P.S. Lots of love and happiness. I have many other stories to tell about relationships that were built based on the dialogue journals, not only from my students, but from what other teachers have shared with me. Some examples include an intern teacher in Compton who did this with her third grade class and cried all weekend because she learned about her students' home lives, etc. I had a master's level student who had an English teacher in high school who wrote one full page back to each student. All the students loved her and took her class because of the time she spent getting to know the students. She still kept her journal for over 20 years because it was full of memories and part of her high school life. This English teacher must have had no life because every single page, front and back, was written in a spiral notebook, and the teacher responded back with an entry each week, single-spaced 1 to 2 pages. Dialogue journals also benefit children because they build authentic literacy skills, and students choose their own topics. Giving students choice to write about whatever they want to is the best motivation for writing. Dialogue journals benefit teachers because it provides a weekly developmental record of the child's writing. It models writing in an authentic context. It helps children make the connection between oral and written language, and you learn about the child and his or her interests. Here are just a few amusing examples of what kids write. This is from a third grade boy in Long Beach. When I grow up, I'm going to be a cop. I want to be a cop because cops get to arrest people and eat donuts. Donuts are my favorite things to eat. I enjoy them all the time. Well, not all the time. It depends which one it is. If I had $1 million, I would buy a lot of SpongeBobs. The teacher put a cat sticker. Kids love stickers and stamps, even in middle school. And the student drew a picture of SpongeBob. This was written by a kindergarten girl who just went to the LA Natural History Museum. She wrote, I went to the museum. There was dinosaurs in the museum. We digged for dinosaur bones and we ate cookies, chocolate chip cookies. I then wrote the words on the next page. Went, museum, there was dinosaur, digged, bones, cookies, chocolate, and asked her if she could read the words. She read every single word with no problem. Why do you think she was able to read the words? Because she wrote about them. It was based on her language, her experience. This is where literacy starts. By the way, this was my daughter Lauren when she was 5 years old, and another teacher recommended this to me to start a parent-child journal. She gives parents the same assignment, a dialogue journal with parent and child, as homework. I did this with my daughter, and she loved writing in it and reading my responses. Dialogue journals as a tool for writing instruction for English language learners. English language learners need more guidance and collaborative writing opportunities. English language learners need to have an opportunity to feel free to write and express themselves without their writing, their spelling, grammar being corrected. The writing process, writer's workshop, composing process, the brainstorming, pre-write, draft, edit, revise, and publish is a separate component of writing instruction. This was written by a former student of mine who was an English language learner. This is what he wrote. Vietnamese was my first language, and it was tough trying to learn English. An instrumental person that helped develop my literacy is my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Jones. Although I was only his student for a year, we built a friendship that grew outside of the classroom. He became a caring friend and a person I deeply admired. He helped me with my reading and writing abilities through the process of daily journal assignments. We had to write in our journal every day after lunchtime for approximately 10 minutes. Mr. Jones allowed us to free write about anything that we felt a desire for. I would write about what happened outside of school the previous day. Then Mr. Jones would read our entries and comment on them. Usually he replied with thoughtful feedback and encouragement. This gave me the impression that he really did care about his students, because some of my early grade teachers never responded to our writings. This activity made me feel like I was having my own little conversations with Mr. Jones. I was so comfortable with Mr. Jones that I started to write about many things. I really enjoyed that journal assignment because it allowed me to express my feelings and thoughts without having any restrictions or barriers. I often found myself not having enough time to write everything that I wanted to put on paper. I was also excited to see how Mr. Jones would respond to my entry each day. This assignment improved my literacy skills because I was eager to read and write. For the first time in my childhood, I wanted to read and write more than hanging out with my friends. Bobby Wynn, single subject credential student, he's from Long Beach, California, and he wrote this as part of a literacy history in September 2005. Basically, he validated what I knew also, which is it helps English language learners with their literacy skills. Here are some recommendations for using dialogue journals. Number 1, provide a weekly topic and write it out for them. Some favorite topics you can suggest are tell me about your family, what are your favorite things to do, and so forth. Number 2, encourage students to write about anything they want to. Let them know they do not need to write about the topic you give them. Number 3, do not correct their writing. Always give a thoughtful reply and model the correct grammar and spelling. For example, if a student writes, I like play baseball, you can reply, I also like to play baseball, with the correct spelling. Each session, have students write in their journal for about 10 minutes at the beginning. You will take home the journals and reply to each entry. Do not let the students take home journals. You will give the journals to them at the end of your fieldwork. If students want to write more, have them write it on a separate piece of paper and they can staple it in the journals the next time they see you. The following slides are samples of dialogue journals and writing paper. Here's some examples of dialogue journals or journals that you can use. The most common one is the composition books that usually you can get them from the schools, and you can look inside, and this one has the 3 lines for the younger grades. The most common one is usually, and the easiest and the best, is the spiral notebook, where the kids can easily flip through the pages. You also have the alternative of making your own. Letting them decorate the journals is nice, and then if you look inside, just stapling, having these little pictures where they can draw pictures, it's going to work out really well with the kids. The next one for kindergarten, this was something made, hopefully it'll make a nicer cover, and inside you can see, once again, kindergarten. Even if they write just one sentence, it's completely fine. They're going to do their best, and they can draw pictures there. You can purchase your own paper, or you can actually download some paper and make your own journal. So you can see this one is for the lower grades also. And what you will turn in is you will make a copy of the cover, and you will scan the entries, and basically this is what an example of what was scanned and turned in to me at the end of the semester.